That's a heck of an airplane. Here we go. Well, at our age, Ron, we got to take it easy on the staircases, you know. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's interesting. He looks very official and making sure that stairway lines up. Yeah, I don't think the president has to worry about going through TSA security, anything like that. He just going to waltz right out there, and there's going to be a. There comes the limo to the right. It's just about to pull up. The limousine, presidential limousine, about to pull up here. There you go. There you go. Just like Ron's car out in the parking lot. I Oh gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, 13, 14, SWAT truck, fire. I say about, yeah, at least that. So the fancy ones, though, 1, 2, 3, the first four are uh, either two limos and then 1, 2, 3 fancy SUVs, Suburbans. You got the vans, yeah. Um, I've, I've, I've heard the press can be on there, but the press has to pay. Celeste, I don't know if you found that doing your homework, but the press has to pay to be on Air Force One. I don't know what the budget is at Fox 10 for something like that. Maybe you can help me look into that. I don't know. I'd just like to take a look around in there. Oh, good to know. Good to know. Well, if you, well, I was just going to say, I don't know if you can tell, but so it looks like the president's going to go down the staircase and right into that limousine. He won't be anywhere near us, and that engine's way too loud probably to shout out anything that audible. But yeah, just letting you know. Looks like he's going to make a quick getaway here. Maybe Mike knows. I've always wondered where the quarters of the president are on the plane. Is it? I assume it's not toward the back. Is it up in that second floor job thing there, or is it just the front few seats is kind of an office area? I don't know if Mike knows that. I would imagine. Right, right. They're yeah, and they're right by those huge engines. Well, and finally I finally worked up the nerve to look at my 401k today. It's been weeks, and it's like right back where it was pretty much before all of this started. There we go. Oh, I'm going over to talk to the press here. Going to answer a few questions. Yeah. Is there a Fox reporter over there? Whoop, and there he goes. There he goes. He left, guys. Going back to the car now. All right, he's in the limo. The door is shut. Away they go. I'm not sure exactly where they're going. They're heading to the west. I'm sure they're going to take a quick left here around some beige nondescript building that I can't quite make out. Nope, they're going to circle. My bad. A circle. I don't know where they're going, to be honest with you. Let's see. Going back behind the plane now? Maybe he wants a better view of Payastoa Peak. I'm not sure.
Not only is she raising a young family in a way she didn't dream of, she is continuing Charlie's mission and bringing many young students along with her. Anyone who criticizes Erica for how she grieves or how she moves forward should pause and think for a minute about the humanity of that. Many people claim to be caring and compassionate, when in fact they are incredibly judgmental. So many loved our friend Charlie, and so many loved Erica. Goodness will always outshine the darkness. Charlie knew exactly who he was marrying, a strong, smart, beautiful soul inside and out. I know he is immensely proud of Erica and how she is carrying on. I have often said Charlie was the younger version of Rush, the next generation of Rush Limbaugh. In fact, I am certain they are both sitting together in heaven right now. Engaged in a deep conversation about Iran and our incredible United States military, the greatest fighting force for peace in the world. Or possibly what should be done for the midterms. They are also likely working on a better radio deal in heaven. Both men shared such profound talent and wisdom. Both used their intelligence and wit to connect with people of all backgrounds. Among the many things that made Charlie and Rush unique was their ability to talk to you and not at you. They encouraged everyone who would listen to think for themselves. They presented facts so that you could form your own opinions. Both loved this country with all of their hearts. They stood for freedom and freedom of speech. Charlie and Rush are simply irreplaceable, but their lessons live on through all of us. We must continue to share these lessons with as many as possible. Both Charlie and Rush wanted young Americans to know how miraculous our country is. They wanted to explain to those who agreed and those who didn't, some of whom were outside on my way in. They needed better signs, by the way, but we'll work on that for them. They wanted to explain to those who agreed and those who didn't why the United States of America is worth protecting and valuing. They knew, as we do, that every American has the opportunity to better their circumstance, no matter what. No matter the color of your skin, or gender, or where you started in life, or what you're told you can't do. As an American, you have the chance for a brighter future and the chance to go after your dreams simply because you are an American. There are endless stories of Americans who started in actual ghettos, in true poverty, and rose to lead industries. Those are the stories that need to be told over and over. Young girls can achieve anything that they strive for in this country. Both Charlie and Rush recognize our country's history is flawed and not perfect. However, despite any imperfections, we as a country have made tremendous strides over these decades to right our wrongs. There are so many examples of this. those examples should also be told over and over. Our country is made up of countless everyday heroes doing extraordinary things, who showcase we as American people represent much more goodness than evil, and always will. It is important that we hold on to the principles that Charlie and Rush stood for. At the very base of that is freedom of speech. I encourage you all to use your minds, especially the young people. Continue to seek the truth. Use your voice to share with others. I encourage you not to just go with the flow or what may be trendy in social media for that minute. Charlie and Rush showed us the incredible impact one life can have on this world and the difference that one life can make. Know that you as an individual matter in this great American story. I know President Trump will be here shortly. President Trump doesn't have to do anything that he does. Just like Charlie and Rush, President Trump takes the arrows that he does and continues to stand strong because he loves this country deeply and he loves all of you. He doesn't have to work tirelessly as he does. He could have led a very content private life. But President Trump fights daily for all of us, for the younger generations, because he wants the United States to remain the most miraculous country on earth, where there is opportunity for all of us. He runs our country with a business mind and a father's heart. Exactly what is needed. One quick story about President Trump. I know us Limbaughs get behind a microphone and we think we have 3 hours, but I promise you this will be quick. Soon after Rush announced his cancer diagnosis to millions on the radio, we headed off to Boston for what we thought was a scheduled surgery and treatment. When we landed in Boston, the phone rang, and sure enough, it was President Trump. He asked what we were doing, and Rush said, "Oh, well, just preparing for surgery this afternoon." President Trump, without hesitation, said, how about coming to the Capitol tonight? Sitting in an old t-shirt in Boston, Rush looked at me and said, "Tonight?" Mind you, the t-shirt was about all that he had packed. "Oh, no, we couldn't possibly make it to Washington tonight." Well, you all know how persuasive President Trump can be. Needless to say, the surgery was delayed and we were in the Capitol hours later for Rush to be presented with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It was a night we will never forget. Every few days, President Trump would take time out of his very busy day to call Rush, just to check in. No agenda, just simply, how are you holding up? President Trump is a great man who cares for our country so deeply, and Americans in that very same way. God bless Erica, and her children. God bless President Trump, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
God above, and all I ever learned from love was how to shoot at someone who outdrew you. It's not a cry you can hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 I said, shake it, baby, shake it. I said, shake, baby, shake. Come on over. Oh, I'll take it on. Oh, let's go. babies over the road. Man made the train, carry the heavy load. Man made the electric lights, take us out of the dark. And man made the boat on the water. And my Bible said Noah made the ark. This is the man's world. But it wouldn't be nothing. Nothing. But a woman or a girl.
L'uomo rincorre il potere, ma lui non sa che il grande rifiorire come si parla nel parco stretto lunghera e non vive nella sua fantasia vorrei che non si accorge che poi non l'ha più senza te si vive.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
A baby boy. Man make them happy, 'cause man make them toys. Without you, man made everything he can. Man made lira, pesos, dollars, rubles, buy from every good woman.
gentlemen, if you will make your way back in the room, and if you're in the room, if you can be seated, we are about to resume. Thank you.
Love you guys. Over the past 7 months, I have seen the worst of humanity, but I've also seen the best of it. And it's reminded me that every day when you wake up, you have a choice to spend your days focused on what's broken, or you can recognize our freedoms and fight to protect them. As Americans, we are all privileged to live in the greatest country in the world. Is it perfect? No, it's not. Do we have problems to solve? Of course. Of course we do. But our country is the best that we have, and I do not want to lose it. If you look around the world right now, Europe has surrendered itself to third world criminals, and under the Biden administration, we were on track for that for ourselves. But President Trump came in and course corrected. In countries like Nigeria, radical Islamists are murdering Christians for their faith. In Canada, they'll tell you you're better off getting medically assisted suicide than believing in the sanctity of life. While in America, we understand that a free life is worth living. But there is nowhere else on earth like the United States of America. There is not. And with this powerful combination of freedom, the ability to live your life with your faith openly, and the chance to build a life, nowhere else like it. And nowhere else I would want to be, and I'm sure you guys feel the same exact way. But that didn't just happen by accident. It happened because generations have fought and sacrificed everything for it. And because all of us, as a united front, said enough is enough and showed up to vote for President Trump in 2024. Amazing. We said enough was enough. And I'll never forget after that election. I know none of you will either. Charlie's sitting there. He was going through the numbers. He was going through the maps. He was looking at all the data points. And he said to us, he goes, "This is it." He said, "The red wall." He said, "If you can secure Arizona, Nevada, and New Hampshire, and you're investing into these states and not just into these races," he said, "their maps will collapse and their strategies will fail." And it inspired us to no end. Totally inspired us. But we don't get to just sit back and admire that win from 2024. We have to fight to protect it. Every day, that's right. Every day. And Arizona is home for me. I was raised here. I fell in love here. I got married here. We're raising our children here. And we're not going to sit back and just watch this state or this country be completely torn apart. Completely torn apart. We're not going to watch that. Because they want this state. They want this state, and Turning Point Action will fight to defend it. And I refuse to let California become Arizona. Not happening. Not happening. We don't want Arizona to elect people like Eric Swalwell. No, we don't. No, we won't. But I will say, unfortunately, we do have his best friend, Ruben Gallego, here, so we have some work to do. We have some work to do. But seriously, though, I do not want a country to look like the protesters outside who are celebrating the murder of my husband. I do not want a country like that. So let's not forget how quickly things can go in the wrong direction. We just lived through 4 years of corruption dressed up as compassion. 4 years of that. You remember when we had Christian pro-life activists being persecuted for their beliefs? Remember when concerned parents were getting targeted by federal law enforcement just for showing up at their school board meetings? Remember Lake and Riley? I do. Remember wide open borders? 500,000 people poured into this state alone, thanks to an administration that didn't care about stopping them. And now, 452 days into the Trump administration, look at what has already been done. Look at it. There are accomplishments. And yes, there is more to be done, but my husband and all of you fought for this, and we achieved it. And now we have to show up again with 80 to 90% voter turnout in the midterms and fortify the red wall for the next decade. That's what we need to do. But at the same time, you have people out there who are actively trying to tear this country apart. They love to start fights, dividing us all against each other, spreading negativity, all to get clicks and influence the algorithm to maximize profits. Meanwhile, building is hard. Getting out the vote, talking to real people, spiritual revival, that's actual work. That is actual work. And my husband, Charlie, gave his life for that work. And what gets built lasts for generations long after the noise has run out of one-liners. No one understands this better than President Trump. No one. No matter what they throw at him, he perseveres in the face of adversity because the mission is too important. Because this country is worth fighting for, and he is not alone in this fight. And we are blessed to be Americans, and we are going to fight like it. And ladies and gentlemen, there is no one else I'd rather have on our side than President Donald J. Trump. God bless you guys.
Officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Donald Trump swept all 7 swing states. 6 of them flipped from Joe Biden's column in 2020. More than 80% of all the nation's counties moved toward the right. The shift is decisive and leaves Democrats arguing over how they misread the people.
They tried to kick him off the ballot in 50 states. He stopped them. They tried to impoverish him. They tried to break him financially. They tried to lock him up in jail. He beat them. They said he couldn't possibly win the White House again. It had only been done once in history. He won. I raised my right arm and started shouting, "Fight, fight, fight." 12 months ago, Joe Biden handed us a mess. Just after 1 year of President Trump, our economy is booming, incomes are rising, investment is soaring, inflation has been defeated. Our economy is roaring, our workers are thriving, our border is closed, and America is respected all over the world. Our spirit is restored. He wants to make the country safer and more prosperous than it's ever been before. As he continues to do that, we will not only win the midterm elections, but we will elect a Republican to succeed him. We should win in a landslide, and we'll do everything we can to do it. Together with all of you, we Thank you very much. That's fantastic. Well, I want to thank all those seniors, but I want to thank all the young people. I've never seen so many young people in my life. And I want to say a special hello to Phoenix. We had a big win in Phoenix and a big win in Arizona and a big win all over the country. I'm thrilled to be back in the great state of Arizona with the hardworking, God-fearing patriots of Turning Point Action and Turning Point USA. 7 months ago, our country lost a fearless warrior, my friend, for freedom, and he was just an amazing man. He was an amazing person. Charlie Kirk, just an amazing guy. Charlie was murdered by a cruel and vicious assassin who believed that by silencing his voice, he could kill an entire giant movement. But standing here today, it's clear to see that Charlie's voice is not silenced. It's roaring and roaring back, louder, frankly, than ever before. His message is unstoppable. His mission is totally unstoppable, and his movement is forget it. It's not going to happen any other way but success. It's amazing what he's done. He was such a great friend of mine. We talked all the time. We speak all the time. Talked about politics. We talked about God. We talked about everything you can talk about. He was a special person. I want to just thank Erica. She was put into a rough situation. Don't kid yourself. That's a rough situation. Those people think it's easy. I told her, not so easy, Erica. But she loved that man more than anything else, and she's done a really terrific job. I want to thank her on behalf of all of us. Because together we're making America great again, and this November we're going to win the midterms. We're going to win, and we're going to win like never before. For some reason, even if you have a great presidency, if you haven't, I don't think there's been one like this. And we have some good news I'll tell you about. Would anybody like to hear about Iran a little bit? You know, this was scheduled a long time ago. I said, let's not do any media for a little while. Here I am. This is sort of interesting. They're all waiting. Look at all the fake news back there. So, we could fill this place up 4 times. Would anybody like to give up your seat? Allow somebody to... But it's really been an incredible period of time, and I'll tell you about it. But in 2024... Turning Point's grassroots army helped us win Arizona in an absolute landslide. We won this one. We won all 7 swing states. We won the Electoral College 312 to 226. We won the popular vote by millions of votes, and we won, and that's the first time in decades that a Republican, I don't know what that's all about, won the popular vote. But we won by a lot, and we won 86% of all counties. Now think of that. Counties, to me, that's the biggest of all, most important of all. 86% of all counties in America, 2,700 to 525. That's called a landslide. And I want to thank everybody at Turning Point Action who's working tirelessly to help us get out the vote this November 3rd. And I especially want to thank all of the executives and Erica Kirk in particular. Thank you. This will be a great and brilliant day for the world, because Iran has just announced that the Strait of Hormuz is fully open and ready for business and full passage. But the naval blockade, with the greatest navy in the world, from the greatest military the world has ever seen, we built it during my first term. We built it. They said I was crazy. We weren't so crazy, were we? Will remain in full force and effect as it pertains to Iran until such time as our transaction with Iran is 100% complete and fully signed. And this process, we're getting along well, but who knows with anyone, but who knows with Iran in particular. This process should go very quickly, in that most of the points are already negotiated and agreed to. You'll be very happy. The USA will get all nuclear dust. You know what the nuclear dust is? That was that white powdery substance created by our B-2 bombers, those great B-2 bombers, late one evening, 7 months ago. No money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form. Iran will be, and you know how we're going to get the dust, right? Iran. We were going to take it anyway. But taking it that way is slightly more dangerous. But we're going to get it anyway. But Iran, with the help of the USA, has removed or is removing all of the sea mines. And most importantly, it never agreed, and you'll understand, they will never have a nuclear weapon. They will never have a nuclear weapon. And somebody said, how are we going to get the nuclear dust? We're going to get it by going in with Iran, with lots of excavators, because the B-2s, remember when fake news CNN said, well, maybe obliteration is too strong a word. Obliteration. That's so deep. We need the biggest excavators you can imagine, but we're going to go in together with Iran, we're going to get it, and we're going to take it back home to the USA. And now that the Hormuz Strait situation is almost over, I received a call from NATO asking if we would like some help. Thank you very much, NATO. And I told them I would have liked your help 2 months ago, but now I really don't want your help anymore. Because they were absolutely useless when we needed them. But actually, we never needed them. They needed us. They need us. They need us so badly. You know, it's a little bit like if you're a politician. Sorry to believe I'm a politician, but after I won, people came up to me, sir, I'd like to make a major contribution to your campaign. And I said, listen, just so you understand, campaign contributions after I won don't count. They don't count. And NATO after we won, that doesn't count either. It's the same thing. But you have to remember that because we spend hundreds of billions of dollars a year. We spend money. We spend, I would say, in many cases, close to $1 trillion over a couple of years. $1 trillion to help them. And we're always helping them. And this was just a military excursion. This isn't the big time. You know, we built the military so great. I'm so proud. It was one of the, including Space Force. You know, you see all of that. When you see those rockets go one, look up there, this Space Force, we all created Space Force, didn't exist. We were losing to China and to Russia in space, and now we're so far ahead of them both, you wouldn't believe it. But yesterday, on top of it all, we achieved what everyone said was impossible, an unprecedented ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, and that hasn't taken place in 78 years. 78 years. Our deal with Iran is not in any way tied to Lebanon, but we will make Lebanon great again. I mean, it's about time we've sort of, the world has forgotten them, and they're good people who have lived like hell for a long period of time, and hopefully the situation with Hezbollah will get straightened out quickly. But I want to thank the country of Pakistan and its great prime minister and its great field marshal. He's our great field marshal. Two fantastic people for helping. They really are terrific people. And I also want to thank Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait. They've been amazing. They've all helped tremendously. And it took courage for them. Not easy. They were living with what they call the bully of the Middle East. They had the bully. Iran was the bully of the Middle East. They're not the bully anymore. With the help of everyone here today, This has been by far the most successful first year of any administration in the history of our country, acknowledged by everybody. To begin with, I ended 8 wars, and it may be a little early to say this, but if we add Iran and Lebanon, that will be 10 wars ended and many, many millions of lives saved. Think of how many lives we've saved. Starting on day 1, we ended the illegal invasion of America. That's an invasion by criminals. Many, many criminals, murderers, drug dealers, prisoners. They emptied out their prisons into our country. And we took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent, and open border and created the most secure border in U.S. history, one of the most secure borders anywhere in the world, with 0 illegal aliens coming into our country in the past 11 months. 0! And in 2025, we achieved the largest drop in violent crime ever recorded. That's despite all of these people that came into our country. Many of them are now gone, I'm pleased to tell you. The murder rate, isn't it a terrible thing to be talking about murder? But you gotta say it. At least it was good news. I guess it's good news. The murder rate reached the lowest level in over 125 years. 1900. The year 1900, before my father was born. My father was great. Before he was born, the flow of deadly fentanyl pouring across our border is down by an astounding 59%. And as you probably noticed, if you watch the news, illegal drugs coming in by ocean or sea are down by 97%. 97%. And we're trying to find out who the 3% is, because I consider them to be perhaps the bravest people anywhere in the world. Boom. Or they don't watch television or something. We passed the largest tax cuts in American history, the largest spending cuts in American history, the largest regulation cuts in American history, and the largest investment in border security in the history of our country. And starting my first day in office, we banned the transgender mutilization of our children. And we made it the official policy of the United States of America that there are only 2 genders, male and female. That was easy. Could you imagine if I was up here 20 years ago or 15 years ago, probably 12 years ago, and I said there are only 2 genders, male and female? People would say, what the hell is he saying that for? Is he crazy? It's got to be the worst speech I've ever heard. Why is he saying that? Well, why is he saying that we got men out of women's sports? Can you imagine saying that 15 years ago? 15 years ago, if you said, and we got men out of women's sports, the audience would say, what's wrong with that guy? It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And we got critical race theory out of our schools. And we abolished DEI across the entire federal government. And we eliminated so-called affirmative action in federal contracting and university admissions. If you get great marks and have great scores, and your boards are good, everything's good, you're getting in. People can't go before. We have a country now that again is based on merit. That's the way we became great. But we have to win the midterms and all of these things. It'll stay with us forever. But if we don't win the midterms, I said it during my State of the Union speech when I interviewed and talked to some people backstage. I said, I'd like to have some of these people called out for their greatness. And we gave out, as you know, that night, the Congressional Medal of Honor to a young man who was flying a helicopter with practically his legs shot off. And he landed in Venezuela perfectly with a lot of men on board, like 48. And if that goes down, the Venezuela, incredible attack, nobody killed. Hundreds of millions of barrels of oil taken out. The relationship with Venezuela is great. We're working, it's like a great partnership. But if that doesn't happen, we looked at the Democrats. Not one was clapping. Medal of Honor. Then we interviewed a mother, a beautiful mother, whose daughter was slashed from behind by a maniac. She could hardly stand. It was 8 months ago. She could hardly stand, crying uncontrollably. Not one Democrat was clapping. Then we introduced a war hero from 100 years. He was 101 years old. Gave him the Congressional Medal of Honor for his great heroics. Wasn't recognized until I came along. Not one Democrat clapped. Not one Democrat clapped. And now they don't want to pay our border security, and they don't want to pay our great patriots of ICE. You know, ICE is a tough job. You got those murders that they allowed into our country. Think of it. Thousands of murders came into our country. 11,888, 50% of whom killed more than one person. These are violent criminals, and ICE is tough. And I don't want that job, and most of you don't either. I have a couple of friends in the front row, and they're tough people, but they're not that tough. They don't want that job. And if we don't have ICE, and if we don't have our great Border Patrol, and if we don't have our great policemen, and all of these people, they're incredible. They keep our country great. They keep our country safe. And the Democrats want to defund them. They want to defund ICE. They want ICE terminated. And you know, whether you're liberal, conservative, doesn't matter. Democrat, Republican, Independent, it's crazy. And I looked at them as we went through about 7 moments when you had to clap, and they didn't. I said, these people are crazy. They're crazy. And you know, I don't know if you noticed, the word was passed to them from people that were watching, I guess, on television, maybe standing backstage. They said, this guy is killing you. Start clapping. And the last half hour, they were clapping for everything I said. They were clapping for everything, things they shouldn't have been clapping for, because they heard they were getting killed. Just remember that night. That night was a very telling night. And we don't want to go back to that. We don't want open borders where millions of people pour into our country. We want to have safe borders. We want people coming into our country, but they want to come in, and we have to have them come in legally. Very simple. Of order starting the process of shutting down the Federal Department of Education and sending education back to the states. Thank you, Linda McMahon. Linda McMahon. You know, education. Go back to the states where it should be. You don't want to have a bureaucrat from Washington who couldn't care less about your community telling you how to educate your child. You have your local boards and your parent groups. One thing, I know you love your children. I'm not sure that they do. But we've largely removed education. Well, we just did it. Just move them back. You know, we're supposed to go through a long process. Thank you, by the way, to Linda McMahon. She's been fantastic. Been fantastic. And we removed over 300,000 bureaucrats from federal payrolls. They had sometimes 10, 11, 12 people to do one job, and they just sit there. And you know what? I have a lot of respect for it, whatever. But you can't run a country like that. You can't, as the expression goes, has anyone ever heard of it? Make America great again? You can't make America great again when you do that. So we've done that, and you know, many of those people are very happy, because right now more people are working in the United States than at any time in the history of our country. And many of those people that had these boring, lousy jobs where they weren't even jobs. Federal government, they went out, they got jobs in the private sector, because we have the most people working than we've ever had before. And they're making more money and enjoying their job. It's sort of an amazing phenomenon. After decades of other countries stealing our jobs and plundering our wealth, thanks to our strong policy on tariffs, we cut our gaping trade deficit. Now, if you do 1%, you're considered like a genius. If you do 2 or 3%, it's unheard of. We cut it by 59% this year, our trade gap. It's the largest drop of a trade gap. Think of it. It's the largest drop in history, the history of our country. 59%. Can you believe it? So if you're a genius with 1% and really a super genius at 3, what are you with 59? I don't know. As part of our tax cuts, we delivered, a lot of you benefited by this, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. You know, the great big beautiful bill is really the great big beautiful tax cut bill, but it was also, we gave you the right to deduct your interest payments on a car loan, but only if it's made in the USA. That's been incredible. You never had that right before. And this week, millions of Americans received the largest tax refunds of their lives. The average is more than $4,000 per filer. Think of that. So nobody knew this was going to happen. But now they're getting their refunds back, and they're much larger than I said. In other words, I under-exaggerated, which is good. And in 4 long years, Sleepy Joe Biden, have you heard of him? What a president, what a disaster. But the whole party, it was the party. He didn't run the country. The people surrounding the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, they ran the party. Radical left lunatics. But in 4 long years, Sleepy Joe Biden got less than $1 trillion invested in our country, much less. And in 12 months, so think of it, 4 years. Ours is 12 months, and it's actually 11 because we haven't gotten the last month. So in 11 months versus, think of that, versus 4 years, they did less than $1 trillion. In 11 months, we did $18 trillion of new investments coming into our country. And that's a record for any country anywhere in the world by a lot. And the king of Saudi Arabia told me, when I was in Saudi Arabia, they invested $2 trillion in our country. But he looked at it as a dead country. We thought it was dead. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And he's right, the hottest country anywhere in the world. For years before I took office, people thought that America was in decline, that our best days were in the past, and that the sun was setting on American power. But no one thinks that anymore, because we are indeed the strongest, the hottest, the best country anywhere in the world. And you know what? Nobody laughs at us anymore. They were laughing. They thought we were a laughing mess. Under this administration, America is on the march, and America is on the rise like we haven't seen maybe ever before. We are respected again as a country, and we're respected at levels that nobody thought possible. Unlike past leaders, this administration does not apologize for American power. We are not ashamed of American might, and we do not hesitate to defend the American people, which is what we've been doing for the last 2 months, because Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. For years, we were ruled by fools who let every third-rate country push us around and bleed us dry on trade and everything else they could get away with. They took advantage of us on trade. Not any more than that. But those days are over, and they're gone forever. America was not founded by weak and timid men who cowered in the face of evil or sat by as danger loomed and let our country go to hell. We are descended from the likes of George Washington, Andrew Jackson, Generals Ulysses S. Grant, Douglas MacArthur, General George Patton. Our ancestors knew exactly what to do with America's enemies. Beat them and beat them good. That's what they had to do. That's what they had to do. And if NATO teaches us any one thing, and I hope you all watched because they weren't there for us. If it teaches us any one thing, we have to rely on ourselves. We can't rely on outside countries and outside sources. So do not listen to the craven and cowardly voices who tell you America needs to think small or to shrink from our duties or potential. Most people, they wanted to, this recent situation, they wanted to do it, but they said, oh, let's not get involved. Sometimes you have to get involved. You have no choice but to get involved. If you're going to remain great, sometimes you have to get involved. Remember, I'm the peacemaker. I'm the one that settled 8 wars. I settled a war that would have killed 30 to 50 million people. India, Pakistan. You have to sometimes get involved. We are the inheritors of the most incredible civilization that has ever existed, and our task is to defend it. We have to defend it. Past leaders used our wealth and power to make other countries rich and treated our military like a charity for the world while getting barely a word of thanks in return. Nobody thanks us. They don't say, oh, thank you so much. They don't thank us. They think we're stupid. That's really what it is. They don't thank us. Now, we're using American strength to advance American interests for American citizens and to ensure that we remain the most dominant country on the face of the earth, which we're doing at levels that nobody can believe, actually. Every branch of our armed forces is setting new recruitment records that nobody thought would be possible because everyone wants to be a part of the greatest military the world has ever seen. In January, our warriors flew straight into the heart of the Venezuelan capital, captured the outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro, and brought him to face American justice, which is what he's doing right now. And very soon, this great strength will also bring about a day, 70 years in waiting. It's called A New Dawn for Cuba. We're going to help them out with Cuba. We have a lot of great Cuban Americans. Not too many people in this audience, I don't think, but you go to Miami, we have people, Cuban Americans, people that were brutally treated, whose families were killed and brutalized, and now watch what happens. Under this governing philosophy, instead of locking down our energy resources and putting ourselves at the mercy of those that hate us, and they hate us, and they don't respect us, but they do now, we are unleashing our own supplies with those really beautiful words. Perhaps you've heard them before. Drill, baby, drill, right? And because of that, we now produce more oil than Russia and Saudi Arabia combined, and very soon that number will more than double. That's pretty good. In addition, our new partner, Venezuela. Venezuela's been great, really doing a good job over there, is adding very substantially to that number. Likewise, instead of using our wealth to throw open our borders and feed, house, clothe, and police the entire world, we're restoring the principle that America's immigration policies must serve the best interests of America and its great citizens. It's called America First. It's very simple. America First. And we'll help other countries, but we have to view it as America First. Otherwise, we're not going to have a country left. At this moment, Democrats have shut down the Department of Homeland Security to shield the world's most heinous and violent criminals from deportation. They want to keep them in our country. They have a murderer, killed many people. They want to keep him in our country. They're fighting very hard to keep him here. There's something, I'm telling you, there's something wrong with these people. They want to protect deranged monsters like the illegal alien from Haiti, who recently beat a mother of 2 to death with a hammer at a Florida gas station for all to see. It was all on tape. You saw it just a week ago. Last month, a migrant criminal with 15 prior charges and 4 prior deportations threw an 83-year-old veteran onto the subway tracks in New York City, killing him instantly as he got run over by a subway train. Threw him in, it's all on tape. Democrats want to protect him. They want to protect criminal aliens. Republicans want to put them in jail or ideally deport them as long as they never come back. And under my leadership, we ended asylum fraud. We ended all catch and release. We stopped third world migration. We suspended all refugee resettlement except for persecuted South Africans. They're being persecuted. In South Africa, there's a very horrible thing going on in South Africa. It's a genocide. It's a horrible thing. And we made it possible for these people to come into our country. They kill people if they're white, if you're a white person. And I'll tell you what, I did great with the black vote, the African American vote, and they understand this better than anybody. South Africa, they kill white farmers. And we said, you come into our country, and we let you come in. You get a green card, and you get a passport. You can stay in our country. Terrible. Terrible. We can't let it go on. No, we don't have to talk about it. People don't like talking about it. You know, New York Times wrote a story about it years ago. That was the only story they ever wrote. I'm sure the reporter got fired immediately. But we've deported a record number of criminal aliens, a record. Nobody's ever seen the numbers like this. And for the first time in more than 50 years, we now have reverse migration. A beautiful thing, actually. And just imagine where our country would be today if instead of spending trillions of dollars on illegal migrants who come into our country illegally and spending it on the Green New Scam, one of the greatest scams in history, remember? Climate change, global warming, all of this. They actually had global warming, remember that wasn't working because we were actually cooling as a planet. Then they had another one, and another one, and another one, and they were wrong. And then they just said, climate change, because climate change takes care of heat, snow, whatever you have. But past leaders had used American wealth and power to raise our civilization to brand new heights. This is the choice for every voter. In the midterms, Democrats want to drag America down, destroy our country, put it into crime, poverty, and squalor. Really the squalor of a third world nation. We would have been, if I didn't win this election, within a short period of time, we would have been a third world nation. Hard to believe, isn't it, huh? Republicans want to build America up into a nation with no rivals in human history to make your family safer and wealthier than ever before. We're making your family safe. We're making you safe. So if you want a poor and weak America, a country that's riddled with crime, death, disease, and nothing but problems, you should immediately vote Democrat. If you want a rich and strong and a country that you're going to be proud of, America, you must go out in the midterms and vote Republican. We need that. And I was going to say that when a president wins, Republican or Democrat, for some reason they lose the midterms, often, most of the time. It doesn't make sense. Even if you have a president who's doing a good job, and I think I'm doing the best job that anybody really can. When you add it all up, nobody's done what we've done. But for some reason, a president, Republican, Democrat, the party does poorly in the midterms. It doesn't make sense. I'm still trying to figure it out. We'll go out, I think probably hire a couple of psychiatrists. What the hell is going on in your mind? How does that happen? Because it should be the opposite. We're doing well. We're doing our job. We're ending wars all over the place. By the way, with the exception of our little excursion, and wait till you see prices fall. Did you see oil is down today and prices are down today? But we inherited in the history of our country. We inherited that, and then we worked on it, and what a job we've done, and we took inflation way down. We inherited the worst inflation in history. And what a job. But we had to put out that flame. We had to put out that horrible flyer, really, that was taking place in Iran. We had to do it. Otherwise, you want to see a problem? Give them a nuclear weapon. They'd use it the first day. You want to see a problem? They would use it the first day. It's not going to happen. So we're thrilled to be joined today by many incredible Arizona leaders who will help achieve this victory, including candidates for Congress, a lot of great athletes running. I don't know what this is. Jay Feely, great kicker, great athlete. Where's Jay? Jay Feely. Where's Jay? Wherever you are, Jay. Hi, Jay. Great athletes. A sheriff who I've been friends with for a long time, Sheriff Mark Lamb. Sheriff. Good to see you, Sheriff. Got the look, right? I want to get one of those hats, Sheriff. Tell me where you got it. I wouldn't have to worry about my hair. I could just put that. I hear you're doing great in the polls, Sheriff, too. Representatives Juan Ciscomani, Paul Gosa, Abe Hamadeh, Eli Crane, and a really good friend of mine who's running for governor who should win. He's great. Andy Biggs. Where's Andy? You better win, Andy. I hate to lose him from Congress. You want to know? You know, I'm sort of torn with Andy. I hate to lose him, but he'll be a great governor. Arizona GOP Chair Sergio Moreno. Sergio. Thank you, sir. Great job you're doing. Thank you. Thank you for all the help. Arizona Senate President Warren Peterson. Warren. Thank you, Warren. Thank you. Popular, Warren. Very popular. Treasurer Kimberly Yee. Thank you, Kimberly. Good job. State Representative Alex Collodin. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Oh, look at this guy. Oh, I can't believe it. I love this guy. So popular. A man, he's probably in his 50s, early 50s. But he's been around a long time, much longer than that. He's a special person. There was no border problem when he was here. Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Where are you? Sheriff Joe. Where's Sheriff Joe? You know, he came out for me when I was running. I heard about him. He was sort of a legendary guy. There were no border problems, huh? We had no border problems, and he endorsed me right at the beginning, Joe, right long before you saw any of the politicians that were running against. It was 18 people running, and they said, you know, Sheriff Joe endorsed you. I said, you mean from Arizona? A legend? Yeah, he endorsed you before I even started, practically. Thank you very much, Joe. I've been with you all the way. Thank you. Appreciate it. Along with a special friend of mine and married to one of the greats, Rush Limbaugh, Catherine Limbaugh. Thank you, Catherine. She's a great woman. And a veteran Border Patrol agent who's been a fantastic friend of me and the campaign and all of the things, Art Del Cueto. Art, wherever you are, Art. And you know, we have a lot of athletes, and I sort of think of myself, I'm sort of big. Sometimes in the wrong direction, maybe. Big. These guys are really big. Ryan Thompson of the Arizona Diamondbacks is a terrific player. We have a World Series champion. I met him today, and I said, you were a hell of a hitter. And really was a great player, and could be probably still a great player. Looks good. World Series champion Mark Grace. Mark? What a good hit. And what about this guy, World Series MVP? Remember the blood pouring out of his foot? It didn't bother him at all. That blood was pouring the hell out of his foot. I remember it. Kirk Schilling. Thank you. Thank you. And they're all characters, too, aren't they? It's really amazing. We like characters. Hockey Hall of Famer and a great golfer, I can tell you that. He's really a good golfer, Jeremy Roenick. Jeremy? Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, man. What a good golfer he is, too, but probably a little better at hockey, but, you know, supposed to be. NASCAR great, Danica Patrick. Danica? Where's Danica? Where's Danica? I love Danica. I love her hair. I always liked her hair. I like the little widow's peak. You know what a widow's peak? Danica, where are you, Danica? So great. Thank you, darling. What a job you've done. What a job you did. Former NBA All-Star, Tom Chambers. Tom, there's a big guy. I didn't want my picture next to him. He stood up. I said, is that Tom Chambers? Yeah. I said, well, let's take it. I'll stand on this side of the room. Tom said, no. What a job you've done. Great job, Tom. Everyone loves you, too. Arizona sports legend, John Gambadoro. John Gambadoro. Thank you, John. Gambo. Good job. And a lot more. We have a lot of celebrities here, but with your help, we'll continue to deliver on our mandate from the American people like no president has ever delivered before. That's what we're doing. We have a mandate, you know. They said if we could win 3 or 4 of the swing states, that would be incredible. Because it's a little harder for a Republican for some reason. I'll tell you what the reason is: they cheat. That's actually the reason. They cheat like hell. Remember I got out, I said, make it too big to rig, right? Too big to rig. Don't believe the polls. The polls had us way up. Don't believe the polls. Too big to rig. We made it too big to rig. Just keep going. No matter what you see, go out and vote. And we made it too big to rig. But they say if I won 3 or 4 of the swing states, that should do it. And we won all 7, right? All 7 of the swing states. As you remember, I recently directed the Secretary of War. How good is Pete Hegseth doing, by the way? To begin releasing government files relating to UFOs and unexplained aerial phenomena. And I figured this was a good crowd because I know you people, you're really into that. I don't know if I am. So I'm pleased to report today, I thought I'd save it for this crowd, because you're a little bit out there, you know, a little bit, that this process is well underway and we've found many very interesting documents, I must say. And the first releases will begin very, very soon, so you can go out and see if that phenomena is correct. You'll figure it out. Let me know. Let me know. But we've had a lot of questions. It's something that really captivates the mind. There's no question about it. With your support, we will crush violent crime, impose harsh new penalties for repeat offenders. I mean, we have people that have been taken in 28 times. We have some 28 times, and they let them go out 2 days later. Crack down on Marxist prosecutors and rogue judges. The judges are horrible. End deadly sanctuary cities in our country and end no cash bail, which really started it all. No cash bail is a disaster. Somebody shoots somebody, they go in, they just let them out. Then they go shoot somebody else the same day. We will stop the radical left Democrats' rampant looting of your taxpayer dollars, and we will win the war on fraud, which is being headed by our great Vice President, J.D. Vance. We're going to win it. We're going to win it. I said, J.D., I want that job. I want that job. It's so bad. You look at Minnesota, you look at California, you look at some of these states, it's so bad. Maine, believe it or not, is terrible. Maine, who would think Maine is so bad? But we're right on their ass. We're right on their ass. And we will pass the great health care plan. We call it the great health care plan, to stop all payments to big insurance companies and give the money. What we want to do is this. We want the insurance companies to be cut out We want our government not to pay trillions of dollars to insurance companies, to pay that same amount of money directly to the people, directly, and you go out and buy your own health care. And everybody likes it. The problem is the Democrats don't like it because they're owned by the insurance companies, so they vote no. But we're going to get it done one way or the other. We will make most favored nation discounts on drug prices permanent law. So I got you drug reductions on prescription drugs, most favored nation. You know what that means? That means we pay the lowest of any nation in the world. When I got into office, we paid the highest of any nation in the world. I got the nations to agree because I threatened them with tariffs if they don't do it. And I got the insurance companies, I got the drug companies to do it. So your drug prices are going to be reduced by 60, 70, 80, and in some cases even more than 80%. Nobody's ever done that. And that alone should win us the midterm, but it won't. Because nobody wants to write, the fake news doesn't want to write about it. It's unbelievable. With the help of our Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., we will make America healthy again. Maha. Has anyone ever heard of Maha? We will make America healthy again. He's doing a great job, Bobby. And Dr. Oz is doing a great job. Already we eliminated petroleum-based food dyes, reformed the vaccine schedule, and introduced the real food pyramid. We're cleaning up the whole mess. It's a mess. And to help young people afford a house, we will permanently ban Wall Street from buying up thousands and thousands of single-family homes and taking them off the plate. And we will pass the Save America Act to protect our sacred American election. Where all voters must show voter ID, little things like that. All voters must show proof of citizenship. How about that? Who would think? It's a 97% issue, and the Democrats are holding it back. 97. It's 87% with Republicans and Democrats, so even Democrats want it. But the politicians don't want Democrats because when you have policy as bad as they have, like men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, open borders where people come in totally unvetted, just walk into our country, and criminals all over the world. When you have the only way you can win is to cheat. Really, I really believe that. So they don't want to have voter ID. They don't want to have proof of citizenship. But we'll get it. We're going to get it. And no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. Mail-in ballots are a big fraud. It's a big fraud. The mail-in vote is a big fraud, and we will also add into permanent statutes a very simple thing called no men in women's sports. And no transgender mutilization surgery for your children. We're putting that in. We're putting that in because I call them best of. Do you know what best of? Best of Trump. Can you believe it? Best of Trump. Men, did you ever see the weightlifting records? For 18 years, the record stood held by a young woman who was quite strong. It was like 212 pounds. That's a lot. It stood for 18 years. And then a young man decided to go the opposite route. And he wanted to become a young woman. And he transitioned. And he was a failed weightlifter in the men's division. But as a woman, he was brutal. And he broke the record. Remember, this is a record that stood for 18 years. They put an eighth of an ounce here, an eighth of an ounce here for 18 years. They couldn't quite do it. He broke the record by 112 pounds. Or the swimming records. Or the long distance running records. You could go short distance also. Did you see recently? There was a long-distance race. It went on forever. One of these triathlete-type races. That top men, top women. The man won by 5 hours, 18 minutes, and 57 seconds. In fact, he went home and took a nap before getting his award. He slept for exactly 5 hours. Then he got up and picked up his award. It's very demeaning to women. It's very unfair to women. But together we will defend our cherished American heritage. We will defeat America's enemies. We will unshackle our magnificent destiny. We will return American astronauts to the moon, and we will plant our flag someday soon on Mars. For almost 250 years, our nation has stood as an inspiration to humanity and proof of what American faith and courage can achieve. It's amazing what's happened, especially what's happened over the last year. Our ancestors won our independence, vanquished foreign armies, and conquered wild frontiers. They fought perilous battles, crossed jagged mountains, and in the middle of empty deserts, they built gleaming cities like Phoenix, Arizona. Have you heard of that? Right from a desert, generations before us poured their blood, sweat, and tears to make America into the most exceptional nation the world has ever known. And today we are making it more exceptional than ever thought possible, than ever before. With your support in these midterms, we will continue this momentum and achieve total and ultimate victory for America. We will fight, 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 and win, win, win. And together, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much, Arizona. Thank you. Thank you. Win those midterms. Thank you, everybody.